Sorry, I've got laryngitis. I'll do my best. Now, before the internet, conspiracy... This isn't going to go well, is it? Before the internet, conspiracy theorists flew solo. But now they can search for what they mistakenly believe to be true and find other people that believe exactly the same thing, which makes them think that they're onto something or that they have some insight that we don't. But they're just as wrong now as they were before the internet existed. So why, in the name of Captain Caveman, would any rational human being go on to one of the UK's biggest morning TV shows and tell people that they believe the moon landings were fake? Please subscribe.
We have Martin Kenny, and on the opposing side, scientist, cosmologist Sarah Bosman. Martin, we have to go to you first of all. Why do you think it didn't happen?
Well, duh, come on, Eamon Holmes. It's pretty obvious. The internet told him it didn't happen.
Well, there's overwhelming proof that it didn't happen. There's people researching this topic a lot more. We're in the age of technology now.
Yeah, so research seems like a good place to start. The best way to prove or disprove something is by gathering as much unbiased information as possible and then studying that information to clarify your position and whether it's right or wrong. But I will just say that a YouTube search is not research. I know it's got search in the... It's not. It's looking at how many other people believe the same as you. Well, it is if you're only looking at other people that also believe we didn't go to the moon anyway. And as we all know, that's nothing more than confirmation bias. But I don't want to call it yet. Maybe Martin is doing his own research and is about to blow the lid off the whole thing.
I think in the past, like you're saying, we had no way of verifying anything we were told. So we saw the moon landings. Well, you saw the moon landings.
Come on, that's a bit uncalled for. Yeah, Eamon is older than you, but he was good enough to invite you onto his show, so the least you can do is be respectful. Hang on, I see what you're trying to do. You said Eamon saw it, as if to imply that what you saw wasn't a moon landing. I'm on to you, pal.
And you believed it, but there was no way for you to check any of it. And now in the age of technology, as you said, a lot of the young people believe that it was faked.
There are so many conspiracy theorists like you, Martin, that 30 years ago would have been seen as crazy people yelling on a street corner. And now, thanks to platforms found all over the internet, you've all got a voice and the ability to spread as much disinformation as you like. So while you're kind of right that it is because we're in technological times, that certainly isn't why you were able to find out that the moon landing was faked. Because it wasn't. And you and every other moon landing denier will never be able to prove otherwise. Because for something to be fake, it can't have happened. Just in case you didn't know what fake meant.
I find it very interesting, and we'll talk to Sarah in a minute about the scientific side that she believes. But for me personally, I just think far too many people would have had to
cover it up.
Cover up for far too many years.
Well, how many people...
To never have slipped up.
How many people have supposedly gone beyond low Earth orbit, beyond 200 miles off the Earth?
574 people from 41 countries. That's how many people have gone into space. Of those 574, 3 people reached suborbital flight, 567 people reached Earth orbit, and 24 people travelled beyond low Earth orbit, with 12 walking on the moon. Do you think they all did it by themselves, with nobody helping them? It took 400,000 people to put Apollo 11's Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin on the moon half a century ago. That's a massive workforce stretched across the US, and it included engineers, scientists, mechanics, technicians, pilots, divers, seamstresses, secretaries, and more who worked tirelessly behind the scenes to achieve those first lunar footsteps. And out of those 400,000 people, not a single one of them has ever slipped up and given the game away.
No idea.
24. The entire history of humanity.
But what?
24 people.
So your point is...
Only 24.
But
so
what
I'm
Ruth's saying
is
is there was a whole control centre, operations centre, backup control, all sorts of things.
Do you know what happens
Building
in
a
the
rocket.
finance department of ITV?
They probably don't. And why would they? They present the show. They don't work in the finance department of ITV. But shall I tell you what makes that a really stupid and irrelevant question? They aren't on national TV trying to make people think that the ITV finance department is fake.
In the
No
finance
idea.
department?
No idea. Do you know what
checks
happens?
are late.
Do you know what happens in the executive office of ITV, right at the top?
No, but if somebody
tell
was
us
covering
nothing.
something
They tell
up-
you nothing. Exactly.
Yeah, but if
so if
somebody was
something did happen,
But if somebody's
would
covering
you...
something up,
Yeah.
everybody would have to cover it up.
No, they wouldn't, because you would know
Sarah,
about
what
it.
do you think?
Hold on a second. Did he just say that no one would have to cover it up because you wouldn't know about it? Now, I know I'm Welsh, but I was always led to believe that the best way to stop people from finding something out was to hide it for them. Cover it up, if you will. So is this guy honestly saying that you know it's a cover-up because it isn't being covered up? Or did I misunderstand him? And Ruth made the same point as me, so now I feel very special. In the case of the 1969 moon landing, NASA would have had to have silenced 400,000 people for over 50 years.
Well, there are also a lot of engineers, of course, working on these for years and years. They had to come into their job every morning thinking they were developing a rocket. And that's thousands of people being involved in the development and the testing in the labs, people overseeing the labs. It's not only the 24 people who actually went off the Earth. It's the whole organization of NASA and the Apollo program.
My point exactly. So what did all those people think they were being paid to do? Because if you were to believe the likes of Martin Kenny and expat Taffy, Russian vids, and the many other moon landing researchers, then all the NASA employees that were involved in getting us to the moon were being tricked, which is not cool.
The position of the sun, shadows, you will add to that today, using today's technology, you cannot see footprints, which you believe shouldn't have ever blown away.
Yep. Well,
Nothing. They haven't blown away. An astronaut's footprint can last 1 million years on the surface of the moon. That's because the moon has no atmosphere. It exists in the vacuum of space, where there are no gentle breezes, nothing to sweep up the dust and erase the footprints. And no, the vacuum of space does not suck things off. If it did, I'd be the first to volunteer to go there.
here's the smoking gun. Here's the smoking gun. We can argue all day long about,
Yep.
you know, what I think, we've never been to the moon. None of us have been, you know, below the surface, a certain, you know, altitude.
Oh no! Is that how this sort of thing works? I can't believe it. There are so many places I haven't been yet. I really, really wanted to go to America. But I guess if not having been somewhere means it doesn't exist, then there's absolutely no point in me hoping to get to the States one day. You crusher of dreams.
Now, the only way we can discern whether this happened or not is by analyzing and studying the actual data that was taken during those Apollo missions.
Sorry, I thought you had.
Hold on, let me finish.
What the hell are you and the other morons that believe what you believe gonna be able to do with that data, even if it was available to you? Misunderstand it? Misrepresent it maybe? Or cherry pick the parts that you think back up your insane beliefs? With all due respect, Martin, you don't even understand the shape of the Earth, let alone the thousands of pieces of data that were required to get us to the moon. And just because the data no longer exists, that doesn't mean we didn't go to the moon in 1969.
Right? So that's the telemetry data, right? So during those 4 years that they did the Apollo missions, they collected loads of data, you know, biometrical data, design blueprints, etc. Right. To end this, if we had the data now and we could scrutinize it, if we could test it, which is the scientific method, test it,
You're saying
observe
it's not
and
been
research.
released.
Not only has it not been released, NASA destroyed it.
Well, or lost
Why
it.
would they have destroyed it?
NASA
Or
did-
lost
well,
it, or they've
Well,
not really-
hang on. Donald Petit.
We've all seen moon landing deniers flogging this dead horse before. And if you listen to what he's saying, it makes perfect sense. He says, and I am paraphrasing here, yes, I would go to the moon given the chance, but the technology we used in 1969 is now obsolete. And because the American government are being tight asses, we don't really have the budget to go at the moment. And as I've said before, just because conspiracy theorists don't believe it, it doesn't make it fake. What are you all going to do when Elon Musk gets to the moon? Which he will. Who are you going to blame then? Because he isn't NASA. He's a member of the public, with enough money to do whatever the hell he wants, including making moon landing deniers look like morons. Hopefully.
NASA astronaut and chemical engineer. This is a direct quote from him. There's a video of him actually saying this, and I quote,
Okay.
"I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore." We used to,
Right, well, let's-
but we
Right,
destroyed
Sarah,
the
Sarah-
technology, and it's a painful process to build up again.
Oh, of
You're a
course, in that
scientist.
context, absolutely. In that context, absolutely. I completely agree with him. The technology we had at the time was so ridiculously obsolete. There was nothing we could do with it anymore. It's like if you have a car from 60 years ago that was unique, if you try to repair all the parts one by one, it's going to take you way too much money. We don't run cars that way anymore. It was scrapped eventually because it was just too outdated.
I don't think you've dealt with conspiracy theorists before, have you? They don't care about facts. They only care about what they know. Fortunately for us, though, they know nothing at all. But it doesn't stop them from being annoying. I don't find them annoying. I find them hilarious. But I can see why some people would find them annoying, especially the people that put in huge amounts of work to get us to the moon.
So, of course, it was destroyed, the technology in that sense. We don't have it anymore. It wouldn't run.
But Sarah, we got the technology together to go there. Why haven't we been back since, is it, what, the 70s?
It's like I said earlier, not enough spondulics. It's pretty expensive to develop the tech we need to travel to the moon safely. And NASA, despite what conspiracy theorists think, hang on a second, look at it like this. If we were to say that the total US budget each year represents $1 or 100 pennies, NASA's budget currently is less than half of 1 penny. For comparison, 16% goes to the military, 60% goes to social programs like Social Security, unemployment, Medicare and healthcare. So maybe, just maybe, they are prioritizing where they spend that 0.5% of the national budget. You know, developing things for the good of mankind like artificial limbs, scratch-resistant lenses, laser eye surgery, firefighting equipment, solar cells.
I think it comes down to the funding. I think after America went to the moon a few times, the people in power told the voters, why are we spending so much money on this? Why don't we elect a party who will put our taxes to do something else? And unfortunately, it was the last time in history where so much of your taxes went to science and research and technology. It's been cut down a lot, I think, mostly for political reasons.
But you see, Martin actually believes what we think. Some people believe the moon's made of cheese. What do you think the moon is made of?
Please say cheese. And don't give the obvious answer, which is that the moon's outer shell is covered by lunar soil, also called regolith, a blanket of fine rock particles varying between 3 and 20 meters deep. Make it funny. Lighten the mood a little.
What I know the moon is,
Oh, he knows. I'm a little bit nervous. If he knows, he knows.
what I know the moon is, it's a luminary. That's all I know.
What, it shines?
It's a luminary. It's a luminary of some sort. So I can't go beyond that.
A luminary? What, like a light bulb? Luminary means source of light. The sun and the moon being the most abundant sources of light to the inhabitants of Earth. The moon is a luminary in the biblical sense that it affords light to man, light by night. Oh well, if it's in the Bible, the only light coming from the moon is the light it reflects from the sun. But like every other conspiracy theory, isn't it one lie to help out another lie? Because Martin here is also a flat earther, and for him to claim that the moon is anything else would then put cracks in his flat earth argument, wouldn't it? So on TV, in front of millions of people, he's claiming that the moon is a light source. Even though that goes against everything we know about the moon, he said it. If you ask me, he'd have been better off saying it was made of cheese. He would have probably got laughed at less.
And, you know, again, we're living in the age of technology. You know, you've got a P900 camera now you can buy for under £1,000.
Holy testicle Tuesday. He's bringing out the big guns, the P900. Couldn't afford a P1000, Martin, could you? It's a camera, mate. It doesn't prove anything. And not a very good camera either, in my humble opinion.
Yeah.
And you can zoom in to the moon. That's supposed to be, by the way, 238,000 miles away.
No, not supposed to be. It is. We know because we've been there. And the distance is routinely measured using LiDAR, light detection and ranging, which bounces laser pulses off the retro-reflecting mirrors placed on the moon by the Apollo astronauts.
In deep dark space. And yet you can zoom in quite close in detail with a commercial camera. And people have taken photographs and images showing it sometimes translucent. You can see through it, right? Sometimes it's got something called a lunar wave. There are many videos showing the moon with a lunar wave. We don't know what that is. It's all a mystery.
So you believe you couldn't possibly land on it because it's
Absolutely
not solid?
not.
How many times have I got to say this? Just because you don't know what something is, it does not make it fake. Now, I know he isn't saying the moon landings were fake because we don't know what a lunar wave is, but you get my point. Don't leave yet. Just quickly before you go, I did a pilot for a new live show on Sunday called The Breakdown, and I've uploaded it to my second channel, which I will link below and in the end screen. I had the lovely Emma Thorne on to talk about the whole young earth creation idea and why, like many of his proponents, it's so stupid. So do me a favor, head over to the second channel, hit the subscribe button, and head over and subscribe to Emma as well. Her channel will be linked below. Because the long-term plan is to give The Breakdown its own channel, because I know that live shows aren't everyone's cup of tea. And if I can get the subscriber numbers up, I'll be able to post directly there and operate it as its own channel. So yeah, Tahiti. Thanks for watching, everybody. Love you. Bye. Yeah.
All right, watch this next. But before you do, make sure you subscribe by order of the Creaky Blinder.